One, and we're live. Hi, everyone. We are back, me and Ali. I recently talked to Robbie Coates, who won the Megatron event. Now I'm talking to Ali. You ran it. Was it a success, Ali?
For the third year in a row, the Megatron 3000 was a resounding success. And obviously, as the TO, I would always want to say that. But I think the 46 players that showed up on the day, the capacity sellout, the volume of games, the volume of sponsors, and just the volume of social media that was generated, I am really, really happy. And I think the only little niggle on the day was we ran about 15 minutes late. Just because one of the players was delayed in getting there because his partner was sick. You got to take care of your family. So,
that's just nothing you can do about small delays like that. But running 15 minutes late with how many people was it? 44 people?
46.
6 people. That is so cool. Congratulations on running this for the third year in a row. Congratulations on the success of this brainchild of yours, of this madness of running all theater platoons, you can pick them once and all of that. That is great.
That's
success.
Exactly it. That's the format. So, that single theater platoon only from the campaign books. Each platoon can only ever be used once. So once a player buys their list, that's their selector to keep. And dice cap of 18 order dice. It has been a popular format for version 2.
And you had quite high points as well, didn't you?
1,250. But the 18 order dice cap does put controls on it. There are a few theatre selectors out there that can get a little bit wild. But it's a very good format that people enjoy, and that's the most important thing about any event. Do people enjoy it? Yes. So they'll come back. So that's great. But it isn't just me. There are a whole stack of sponsors that provided prize support for the event, and I have listed them all off many times. I should do so once again to make sure they get their money's worth from the event. So Warlord Games, Osprey Publishing, Any Scale Miniatures, First Core, KO Designs, 3D Printing Valley, War Games Atlantic, Overlord Games, Alba Studios, Game Mat EU, Mardav 3D Printing, Uppsala Miniatures, MicroArt Studios, Demonscape, Mighty Minis UK, Artis Opus, and Deep Cut gaming mats.
Wow, that is a lot of good companies that have been sponsoring you.
A lot of them have been supporting me from the very beginning. There were a couple of new supporters in this year. Some sponsors have had to fall by the wayside just because they've changed their business models, and it shouldn't be any negative to them. They've just got different priorities. But it's meant that for the Scottish community in that particular weekend, everybody walked away with a prize.
Nice.
And I know that's a really good feeling. Obviously, there's the big trophies for first, second, and third, and best painted, and all of the the good stuff. But
it's a really nice thing that is very particular to the bold action community. I think that we make sure that everyone gets prizes at our events.
At some events, not every event in Scotland does that, and I think that's important to not always have it. There's got to be value. You should never expect to turn up to every event and get something. So I know that there are a lot of events in Scotland that support different charities or different clubs, so they hold raffles for prizes. Then there's events like the Scottish Nationals, where there are prizes for or at least this year there are prizes for first, second, third, but then there will be almost like a little selection box prizes for other achievements that happen within the tournament weekend. So not everybody will walk away with something, but the difference being that particular event, you're there to play the games, play the hard games. Whereas Megatron is it's an event. It can be competitive, but it is more a celebration of the theatre selectors and the themed armies that can be produced. And there were 46 great examples of it.
Right. I am going to share some pictures now, so that you don't just sit here watching our mugs, because there was, and there's a lot of great stories behind these pictures. So if I can get it to share. Can you actually see my screen now? I'm not sure. Ali, can you see my screen right now?
I can see your face.
You can see my face. Why can you not see my screen? I'm trying to share. It does not want to. Because I haven't picked something to share. There we go. Okay. So, there you go. Right. I think I would want to start with some of these images here. Let's start with the winning pictures here.
Yeah, so that's myself presenting the first place overall winner, Robbie Coates, with his different trophies and certificates, etc. So Robbie was using an Italian army, and I believe that you have already interviewed Robbie in a whole separate video.
That interview will actually already be out at the time this releases as well. So yeah, go and watch the interview with Robbie. He has very interesting thoughts on Italians. And whoop.
That's okay. We'll take that image. That is Ant Purdy. He was the third placed finisher, and he was using allied Romanians. And I know that we're going to be talking about his list coming up very shortly, but he was a whisker away from actually winning the event.
Okay, and he is seen here wearing a not Scottish t-shirt.
Yeah, Ant was lucky enough, I think it was back in 2022 in Cork, to be part of Denmark too.
Yep.
He was called up in that great relationship that Scotland and Denmark have in bolt action for swapping players and helping one another out. So, yep, Ant is a very proud owner of that shirt, and he wears it often. So, yeah.
And then here we have.
Yeah, we've got a familiar face. That's Phil Mason. So Phil Mason is the captain of the Scottish team this year, and he finished in second place. Again, he was also a whisker away from winning the event, and we'll be talking about his list also.
Right. So you, as the TO, sitting here with these three guys, how do you feel about the state of bolt action in Scotland right now?
As it stands right now, it's extremely healthy. I think there might be a little bit of fatigue in life for events that go over 2 days. They've been a bit of a hard sell in the local area, but this year especially, we've had events in Glasgow which we've never had before. That was a sellout attendance, 22 players. We've travelled up to Aberdeen as we always do, and they have a second event at the end of the year. So I'm quite happy with where bolt action is. There tends to be those little bubbles of it in different gaming clubs.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not present in other clubs, which are of an equal size, which I think is just down to the different personalities that are within those areas. But we've had new retail store open up. Sorry, we've had a couple of new retail stores open up in the central area of Scotland, and they've all put on smaller scale bolt action events. So no, it's an active community. So it's nice to see. That's a fantastic picture that I see up here.
It really is. Yeah.
So this is, I believe, from the very first game, Lars Andreasen. So he came over from Denmark, and he brought the Soviet. I can't remember the name of the selector, but it's got the armored train.
Yeah, it's the train list.
I had to take this moment. So I know that on the other side of that table, I can't remember if it was a French army he was playing.
It looks like a French army, yeah.
I think it was. So this is the first round. It was a random draw, and I cannot remember the mission. I want to say something like key positions. You can see a big objective in the middle there. And what Lars has done here is he has placed his armored train on ambush very effectively, because those are heavy autocannons you can see. And then he's moved his cavalry in front of them. It was an absolute tactical blowout.
Oh, that was such a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah, he was not happy, so I had to photograph it to help him remember it. But the great thing, and I've spoke at length about the train in different places, but when myself and Lars were talking, I encouraged him to bring as much train track as he could, so that it wasn't just a straight line from one side of the board to the other. I was happy for him to snake it around the board. If he wanted to bring bridges to go over rivers and stuff, I was perfectly happy for him to do so. So in this particular picture, he has the train track running from the right-hand side of the board. It runs pretty much parallel along the left on his long board edge, and then it goes up his left flank and off. So it's like a big L shape. I think there's another image coming up that shows you.
Yeah, I will see if I can find it. Just a sec.
Yeah, so this is so his opponent in this particular game is a gentleman called Grant Crockett, and Grant had a unique solution to stop the train from moving off. He rolled, I think that's a medium howitzer.
Yep.
And placed it at the end of the tracks.
He blocked it.
There you go. Parked it there.
Brilliant.
And just wanted the train to come at him. It was a great tactic.
Yeah.
I don't think. Sorry, I believe that Lars won that round. So
yeah. Well, Lars at least got to play with his train. I know he has been so vocal about wanting to use that train. And he before he went to Scotland, he had so many times where he posted in the Danish group, like, "Can anybody come and play with me? I need to go and train with my train."
No, it was fantastic to see it throughout all 3 games, and I was not required to attend his table once ever. We had done the work beforehand.
Even though the train list is kind of weird and there's a lot of question marks still, but
we covered it off. We created its own FAQ between myself, Lars, and a few other players in the sort of greater community, and put that out to the player base.
So everyone sort of knew what they were going into.
We answered all the questions that could come up beforehand. And I spoke to all the players that played the train against the train lists and against Lars, and nobody was upset at all. It's the great part about the Megatron 3000 is that those things can happen. And again, this is another one of those things that can happen.
So, that looks bad. That looks like Hotchkiss multi-launcher tanks.
It is. So keen-eyed players will recognize those tanks, as Bo has just highlighted what they are. So this was Alan Tibbett's German list from the D-Day Overlord book. It's the 100th Panzer Replacement Division. The basic gist of it is that these are the old French tanks that have been retrofitted to be used by the German army, and they've just bolted on rocket launchers and crazy stuff. And this is round 1. So round 1 was a random draw. I have to admit, I did have to manipulate the draw for a few players who travelled from the same clubs, or travelled in the same vehicles.
Yeah, but that's pretty normal. Most TOs will do that to avoid matchups where you meet your friend. You've travelled like 300 miles and you meet your friend. That's not fun.
Yeah, and so, but this one was a natural draw. So Alan Tibbetts bumped into Phil Mason in the first round, and now I can say it now, but Phil won. He beat this list, and it was a Germany versus Germany face-off. But you can just see the potential that the table had for the multi-launchers. Up in the top
that could have been bad.
Yeah, I think Alan won the dice off for table edges, and obviously he picked the correct one, so that Phil had a lot of buildings. But again, though, that comes down to we know that Alan's a really good player. He travelled from the United States to play here. Oh, he was on holiday, but it coincided. Good planning, Alan.
Yeah.
But also means that, you know, the mission is a factor. It always has been. Your opponent, how good are they? And we know that Phil has got bags of experience in play at local level, international level. So, you know, the prospect of facing off against 3 multi-launcher tanks for him wouldn't be as bad as a lesser experienced player.
Yeah, for new players, that is a horrifying experience. Can be so for veteran players as well, but it's less often. I mean, most of the time, you know what you're going to do and to try and win anyway. Yeah. But brilliant picture. And Alan, I mean, just like going to a different country, like a different continent to play games. Hats off to you, Alan. That's so cool. And then we have this one.
I love this.
What is going on?
So this is an enormous car park, and this is where James Oldfield's paratroop list that had the split transport. So we covered that in another one of your videos previously. It's where he had units of 6 veteran paras split over 2 jeeps. Again, we made a little FAQ to discuss how things would work. But it meant that there was a lot of jeeps on the table. And this is from this final game against a player called Jamie Campbell. Jamie's got it was a US Army list. I can't remember the selector he had at this particular point. But the final mission was double envelopment. And as you can see here, now Jamie really wanted me to highlight this to you. He consumes your videos. So he has decided to park his Dodge 3/4-ton truck on that corner, as you can see.
Yep. He's suiciding with the truck. Yeah.
Yep. To block the path.
Yeah.
So that was the queue of jeeps ready to rattle down that road. But he has sideswiped the vehicle and is trying to get it destroyed. And you can see, so I cannot remember. Actually, I want to find out how this game ended.
Yeah. Because if he could break through that, and if this is the final game, you were playing double envelopment for the final game. If all those jeeps could break through and get out, that would be the victory.
Yeah, and he did win. The jeep, James Oldfield with his jeep list did win. I don't know exactly what the final points of the game were, but it was just that great moment of I came across the table and just looked down and was like, no,
what are you doing?
That is sad days. But the awesome thing about this list is, and I know that we spoke about James's list when we reviewed it, he finished 8th overall out of 46. And in the very first game, he played Johnny Ferg's Japanese list and beat it.
Okay.
That really piqued my interest. James is a good player, but we know Johnny's a really good player. And he had a Japanese list, which is very much in his area of knowledge. So it was really refreshing to see such a unique list being played and for it to get good results.
Yeah, that was amazing. It really was a unique list, very mobile. I liked it a lot.
And to even own that many jeeps.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you do with them afterwards? You're never going to play that many jeeps ever again.
Well, we'll talk about that right at the very end of the podcast, I think.
Okay, cool. Right. So what we're going to do now is we've looked at the sponsors, we've looked at the event itself, we've seen the images. Now let's go and see the top lists. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with second place.
Right. I am going to go and get the lists and share that for you then. Right, here we go. So we've got that here. And there we go. Phil Mason, second place.
Yep.
If it wants to open.
Well, while that's having a think about it, Phil was using the 21st Panzer Division from D-Day Overlord.
Woo!
Page 171. So one of the goals of the Megatron 3000 was to make use of these campaign books, because I think before, in general, the only thing that was used from them were the extra units.
Yeah.
People would like to take the new units, put them in their generic platoons, and then just run them.
Yeah.
So I'm always a fan of own the book, and here's one.
Right.
So do you want to start cruising down his list?
Let's start. The first thing that immediately jumps out at me is 14 order dice. He is low on order dice, and he still makes it. I mean, that's just so much fill. He can do stuff that other people can't get to work. 1250, he's bringing a second lieutenant that's regular with an extra man. He's got Grenadiers with Panzerfausts and assault rifles here. Veterans, very heavy units.
Yep.
He's got Pioneers with a flamethrower. He's got 2 of those. He's got a Shrek sniper team, veteran. Oh, he's got so many veterans here. He's got an 88. He does like his big guns. He's got a motorcycle with machine gun sidecar. That's really good. And then double Lorraine Sleppers. Ouch!
Yeah.
That is 3 big guns. He must have been so happy, Phil. He must have been so happy. And then a couple of cars to finish out for his Pioneers and stuff.
Yeah. So those 2 heavy field cars can fit the 6-man vets with the assault rifles and the Panzerfausts in if you need to get mobile. The missions were published ahead of time, so thinking ahead, stuff like double envelopment. He's got 3 good transports. That motorbike and sidecar is good for nipping around. But it's the big inclusion of those 2 mobile heavy howitzers. They are tough.
They are really tough.
Yeah.
And combined with an 88, I mean, that's 3 very, very heavy, very, very deadly guns.
Yeah, it's really good. Can you scroll up again just to have a look at what his engineer build was, please?
Yes, the Pioneers here. That was the 6-man units with rifles and flamethrower. So veterans.
So very, very minimalist. But yeah, so he's all veteran infantry squads, but has only got 3 of them. Yeah. But again, knowing what the missions were, there's a kill point mission, which was beating engagement, I'm sure it was. Then there's the objective mission in key positions, and then a movement mission being double envelopment. So it's kill, claim, move. So it's having that balance, and you can never argue with second place. He was right there. I have the book in front of me, and I know that part of our review process is usually what did they leave out? What options could they have had?
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick Phil's list apart. It wouldn't play to my style. It's not a list I would pick.
But it does play to his. It really does play to his style.
Yeah.
He's been messing around with big cannons for quite a while, and he's getting good.
Yeah.
And
that Panzer Shrek team in the Kubo wagon. That's his biggest tool for solving big tank problems.
Yep. At +6, you can run it up, maybe get a side shot that will absolutely take out any tank of the game.
Yeah, and the heavy howitzers, they might not penetrate, but D6 pins.
Yep.
Scary stuff.
Very, very scary stuff.
Love it.
Right. So that was Phil Mason, and then we were going to look at
Ant Purdy's list in 3rd place.
Ant Purdy's list. Sorry,
while you're loading that,
here we go.
We are going to Fortress Budapest. We're going to page 155, and this is the Allied Romanian Infantry Division.
Yeah.
And so the key point about this, and you'll see it in the points total, which is a bit askew, but you
get a lot of free units, don't you?
For every 3 infantry units, they have to be the same. you get one of those for free.
Yeah. And that is one of the most competitive builds I think you can do with Romanians. It's really good. So we have a regular lieutenant with an extra man. We have late war infantry with Fausts. He is building them 7-man units, rifles,
7 with Faust.
Yeah, and a single Faust. 2 of those. He's got a commissar. He's got a medic. So lots of small units as well. And then more late war. So he takes 3 of those, which means that he gets an extra for free. Then 3 combat engineers with some machine guns, flamethrower, Panzerfaust. Again, so that's again the 3 units that you take. A medium machine gun. Okay. And what are you doing? The inexperienced medium mortar sniper team, SIS 3. It's just so good. So yeah. Lend-Lease Sherman, a couple of trucks for the pioneers, and then the free units. The free combat pioneer unit, that is the only place in version 2 that you can get a pioneer unit for free, and then the late war infantry with another Faust. So 180 odd points for free.
But good, useful points.
Good and useful points, definitely.
Bodies, two really big strength infantry squads with rifles, flamethrowers, Panzerfaust.
Yeah,
it's not like a free British artillery observer for 100 points, which you might get something, or more often than not,
it's a 50-50 on whether or not it works, right?
Yeah. So all of a sudden, what this list and what Ant has done, he's gone from having 6 infantry squads to 8 infantry squads. And then, as you made mention, he's got all the small teams as well. So the machine gun, mortar, sniper, medic, commissar. So he's got, again, it is the theme of what Allied Romania was used for.
Yep.
They used as cannon fodder by the Soviets at that end of the war.
Yep.
But this time, and he never actually did it, because last time, this is the second year he's ran this list, or this selector, he never bothered to put the machine guns on the trucks. So I think the FAQ would have given him that option.
But he still ran them regular.
That's it, he still ran them regular, but again, that just gives it that reliability to come on. So, no, really good list. Again, I've got the book in front of me. Did he leave anything off the table? Absolutely not. This is the build. Maximum dice count.
Yeah.
And when I said that Ant was a whisker away from winning, I got told one of the war stories. Like, oh man, I was doing this thing and I rolled this dice and bang, it blew up. Well, Ant was telling me that he failed an order check to claim the secondary objective, which would have gotten 2 more battle points, and those 2 points would have tied him with first place.
Oh, that's so close.
Yeah, but the first tiebreaker was dice kills, and he was the most bloodthirsty player on the day, I believe. So, So yeah, that's how close it was at the top.
1 failed order test.
One order check away from winning.
I really like that he has included a Death Star unit here. The Lend-Lease Sherman here is with a heavy anti-tank gun, and it's got all the machine guns he can take with the HMG on the pintle mounted as well. So he's really pouring points into this one tank. And he's still maxing out on order dice. It's a really interesting list here.
It's a great list. It's something that I would love the opportunity to use, because it's the style of list I would enjoy using, but not to be. So I know that you're going to pull up the next list, but in 4th place was Alan Tibbets with his 100th Panzer Replacement Division. We've spoken about
already covered that one, so
yeah, we spoke about his list in the preview video. So next up should be Andrew Mackay in 5th place.
Will be. Yeah.
So Andrew Mackay is a previous winner of
12
MEGATRON
order
3000.
dice. Andy,
I know.
what is going on?
So Andy is shopping from the 1944 and 1945 Panzer Grenadier Reinforced Platoon, also from Fortress Budapest, page 137.
And what are the special rules for that one?
The only special rule is that motorized infantry, Panzer Grenadier platoon must include enough transporter vehicles to transport all the models, so it's an armor platoon. It's got the armor
Andy
platoon
can
rule.
get that far with this list speaks to his absolute amazing skill. Wow. Right, so we have a lieutenant, regular. We have Panzer Grenadiers, regulars, and they are a 7-man unit, a couple of assault rifles, a single Faust. We've got another Panzer Grenadier. Again, we've got a 5-man unit here, single assault rifle, single Faust. Storm Pioneers, veterans. They've got a Faust and a flamethrower, small unit. We've got a medium mortar with a spotter. We've got a sniper team. We've got a light howitzer. And then a couple of Hanomaks here. The 250/9. That's not the Hanomak. That's the armored cars. They're really good, though. And a Panther and a Stu 42. Wow. He made a Panther work.
Yep. He often does. Actually, I think I might have the special rule wrong for that list, but it's still good because he doesn't have the transports, or does he?
No, he does not. He has a heavy field castle, so I think maybe the special rules are something else.
Yeah, I must be looking at something else. Anyway, oh no, the motorized infantry. That's the motorized infantry. That's the thing where you can re-roll getting in and out of.
Oh, to exit. Yeah. Exit the transport vehicle. 2 very heavy tanks. Would you be able to run this and win games?
Me personally,
yeah.
I wouldn't like to do it.
No,
I don't think
I don't know how to do this. This is wow, and it's fairly light on infantry as well, right? There's only 3 infantry units, and they are not big, and 2 of them are regulars. Andy, I tip my hat to you. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yep.
But that's the thing, though. It's if you've got big tools like the Panther, and your opponent doesn't know how to deal with it, they can be bullied. They can be bullied quite a bit. So, no, Andy did well. I mean, if I get a moment, I can see how Andy actually did. Yeah, so Andy won his first 2 games and then lost his last game. So he was near the sharp end of it.
Again, very, very good. Right. Then we're going to 6th place.
Yep. So I cannot remember what book this one came from, but it's the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier, and this one is by Gordon Innes.
And Gordon is bringing 14 order dice, 12, 16. Something weird going on there.
Yes, there was a note. He has spent money on hedgerow ambush for one of the infantry squads, and I believe for one of the, I think there's a Panzerschreck coming up.
Nice. Hedgerow ambush on an AT unit where you can just place it after the enemy has placed their tanks. It's so good. So we've got a regular Waffen-SS lieutenant with an extra man. We've got 2 Waffen-SS late war squads here, just small units with a single Faust and rifles. We've got Pioneers here with a couple of submachine guns in it, a flamethrower, triple Faust. We've got a larger unit of Waffen-SS here, regulars, with assault rifles, a couple of those, rifles, and triple Fausts. A Fallschirmjäger squad with 8-man stubborn double Fausts, veterans, medium mortar, flamethrower team, Panzerschreck team, that's the one with the hedgerow ambush.
Hedgerow ambush, yep.
A sniper team, a Nebelwerfer, a Kettenkrad, a Stuk 3, with the forward-facing heavy anti-tank gun and a truck. Very simple, very straightforward list. It's got a little bit of everything, hasn't it?
Well, I think this list very much gears towards anti-tank.
Yeah.
And Gordon knows from experience that at Megatron there's quite a number of armor platoons, or there's platoons that have got multiple armored vehicles. Similar, we just watched Danny Mackay's list that had two massive tanks in it. So he's taken that into account. So Panzer Schreck with hedgerow ambush. He's got the Stu. Is it the Stu 42? It's got the big anti-tank gun.
Yep.
And then all of his infantry squads have got 2 or 3 Panzerfausts. And I know that I think I've had discussions when Gordon's been part of the conversation, but for me, sometimes there comes a point where if you take 3 or 4 Panzerfausts in one squad, you're actually more inclined to fire them at long range.
Yeah.
Because there's that many of them.
Yeah, so you're more likely to hit even at long range.
Exactly. You don't have to wait to get to within that magic 6th sense close range.
Yeah.
If you sort of move long range, hitting on 5s, and you've got 4 of them, you actually might just let it fly, because all you need to do is get the one hit, and the shaped charge doesn't lose you a penetration point for long range. So, and it's also again plays into the psychological battle of, do you want to put your tank near an infantry squad that's got 1 Panzerfaust? Yeah, all right, take a chance. Do you want to go near a squad that's got 3 or 4? Probably not.
Never.
No.
Not ever.
Exactly.
Right. So that was Gordon in 6th place. And then we have here
in 7th. So that is Mark Lermont, and he was shopping from the Stalingrad book.
No Land Beyond the Volga.
Page 138. There we go. So, special rules here, not allowed to have any transports. The off-map battery.
But you can take Fanatic for your infantry.
Yes, at plus 3 points per model. And the off-map battery means that he doesn't have any howitzers as a choice, but the forward artillery observer can fire twice.
Nice. So he's bringing an inexperienced junior lieutenant. He's got 2 SMG squads of 8-man regulars. That's a lot of shots in those. He's got fanatics on them, I guess. He's got 1 engineer unit equipped with demolition charges. Okay. A poly truck, commissar, a medic, a forward artillery observer, so he can fire twice. I've been on the receiving end of 2 of these at one point, and I'll tell you right now, it is devastating to have that many artillery bombardments just land on you. So that is cool. He's got assault engineers with 7 submachine guns and flamethrower. Wow.
Yep.
The free rifle squad, full strength here, and another rifle squad. So he's got 2 of those as well. He's got double snipers because you can take them, so why not? He's got an anti-tank rifle team. He's got 2 mortars, one of them light, the other medium, inexperienced, both of them. An A19 field gun. I don't know what that is. That can fire HE and plus, so it's a versatile cannon of some sort. Yeah. A BA-10 with the light anti-tank gun and an SU-76I.
Yep. 18 order ice.
Yep. This is a proper strength list. It's really utilizes the strength of the selector. This is good.
Yep. I'm not sure what units he gave the fanatics to, because he spent money for 16
I think
fanatics.
he gave it to these SMG squads simply because there's 16 of those.
Then that makes complete sense. So because they're going to be his closest assault.
They're going to be his closest assault. Yeah.
those two big infantry squads, they'll be the meat shield that would have moved forward. The mortar situation, it was a 0-1 light mortar or 0-1 light, medium, or heavy.
Okay. So you can pick one of each. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a 0-1 light mortar, which that's the only choice you've got, and then you could have light, medium, or heavy as the other slot. So I know that looks a little bit out of place. So look, clearly has done really well. I will have a look. So he went a win in the first round, a draw in the second round, and a win in the third round. But he looks to have failed to claim the secondary objectives.
Okay.
And a lot of them, so he dropped a lot of the extra battle points with the format. It's 5 points for a win, 3 points for a draw, 1 point for a loss. On top of that, though, you get 2 points for claiming the secondary objective. You get 1 point for killing your opponent's lieutenant, and you get 1 point for keeping your own lieutenant alive. Yeah. So he hasn't been able to maximize the wins. So he's always lost points along the way. So even though he's had good results with the list, and I'm sure I've said this in the past, that his list has exhausted itself to get the mission achievements, but it's not had any support left to claim secondary objectives. And
he's got so much regular and inexperienced that will happen quite often. He's going to lose a lot of units, I guess.
And if he's come across army lists that have got multiple heavy tanks in them, those tanks can just go then and sit on a secondary objective and contest it from him, and he might struggle. Actually, he would struggle to push those off. So, but again, it's lovely seeing these themed Soviet lists. We always want to make sure there's transports in your list. He cannot take a transport with that one. So, no, it's a good fun list.
Really good list.
It's one I would use.
The final list that we're going to talk about today is in 9th place, because we already talked about 8th place before in the video as well.
8th was James Oldfield with his Jeep car park.
Which was the one that we showed you guys the images from.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to Morrison instead.
Yep. So Callum Morrison is shopping from the soft underbelly. He is the 8th Army Reinforced Platoon, I believe.
Yep.
1943. Soft underbelly. Page 153.
20 points spent on Mountain Warrior for some Gurkha sections, I'm guessing.
Yes, so Mountain Warrior, Gurkha sections have Mountain Warrior at +1 point per man.
Yep. So 18 order dice, 12, 29, that's the 20 points. He's buying a Highlander First Lieutenant, veteran with the bagpiper.
Yep.
Nice. And then 2 veteran sections here. They are just riflemen, 8-man rifleman units. Good. The 3 forward artillery observer, and then 4 5-man Gurkha units with Mountain Warrior on all of them.
Yeah.
That is a lot of power, but small units. Then double mortar, both of them medium inexperienced. Vengeance on his national special rules, so he can take off pins for most of his army. I like that. Double medium artillery, that is 4 HE shots. This is why I'm saying that there can be a lot of power in some theater lists if you know how to make use of them. An India pattern armored car, so that is his armored car choice with double LMGs, Bofors, a truck with a heavy autocannon, and then universal carriers for the Gurkhas. So no real tank here, and very little anti-tank. Sorry?
Yeah. So it's just a reminder, though, there might be some players that will be looking on at the Bren carriers. Because this selector is in one of the later war books, it's only the late war universal carriers. So if you add the Pintle LMG, it automatically moves to the armored car slot, which is why these UCs have only got the forward facing LMG.
Yep.
It's just if anybody has a panic, it is a fixed thing in the selector and in the campaign book.
The funny thing here is, I think he would have struggled. He should have struggled quite a lot against all the armored vehicles that we've seen here, but he obviously did well anyway.
Yeah, it can be. I can't see who it was that he played, sadly, but he got a draw in his first round.
Okay.
He got a maximum point win in his second round, then lost in the third.
Okay.
So, it's going to depend who he plays.
And
especially the third round being double envelopment with so many vehicles and, order dice that can move well.
Yeah.
But it's... And I know he enjoyed playing the list. And the great thing about Callum, and I might have said this in other social media content, Callum is a great studier of game systems that he plays. And he studies people's lists and absorbs content from yourself. And you can see that. Those inexperienced spotters, they're not a Scottish thing or an English thing. The size of the Gurkha squads, okay, they naturally fit a universal carrier, but having 4 at 5, or would it be better having 3 at 7 to absorb the hits? But he's taken advice or seen something and decided, yeah, I'm going to use that, and he's done it to good success. It's not the list I would think he would take, and I think I discussed this with him afterwards. Because you had a 0 to 2 tank choice, and he went with 1 Bofors AA tank, AA truck. Or you could have had Shermans, Sextons, Bishops, late war Stuarts. So there was other
choices that might have, like, for me, I would have immediately gone and seen if I could pick out something that could supplement, because he is lacking in anti-tank in this list here. So I would have gone there seeing if I could pick out something good anti-tank wise.
Yeah, and for you as well, like in the armored car section, he went with the India pattern armored car. So it's got the 2 LMGs, 70 points,
But it's not massively deadly, is it?
No, but I know that your favourites in there, the British Airborne Reese Jeep and the SAS Jeep, they're both there.
What about a Stackhound? Can I take a Stackhound as well?
Stackhound Mark 1 heavy armored cars there. The PPA Jeep, the flamethrower Jeep, there's more aggressive options in there. But you can never really argue with somebody that made the top 10 in a 46-player tournament. So we're just
backseat generals here.
Yeah, what do we know? We're just guys in the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Well, Ali, thank you so much for coming on and being guys.
I know you're
you have a final thing you want to do.
So the Megatron 3000 moving forward, obviously we have got version 3, which is imminent in its arrival, and we're not sure how that's going to impact our little world. So what I am hoping to do is that I am going to run an event next August in Scotland. I am hoping to use the version 2 theatre selectors, and I hope that there will be a mechanism to update the units that they use. It will not be perfect, but
it will require quite a large FAQ, I guess.
It will. The theatre selectors, I believe, still have some utility moving forward, because ultimately they're just vehicles to play games. And the best example is if I can reach out, and I'll grab the Stalingrad book and I'll flick quickly to a theatre selector, which is Stalingrad Armour Group. And the first thing that you require is an infantry squad, a Panzer Grenadier squad. I am sure I will be able to pick up a version 3 book and there will be a Panzer Grenadier squad there, which means I could just use these. I can use these theatre selector templates. That's my goal. In saying that, it means that I have decided to rebrand the Megatron 3000 because I know.
But it's such a successful brand.
Yeah, but it's going to be a new. It's going to be a new process. So because we're using the leftover parts, I was told that it's like, well, you have to call it the Galvatron 4000. And they're absolutely right. We're using Megatron's parts and making something even better for version 3. So the Galvatron 4000 will be a new brand moving forward into version 3. And I am actually pretty excited to try and make it work. So I hope my sponsors come on board. I hope the players come back, because they might have to put in a little bit more work. Time will tell. But the Galvatron 4000.
4,000 sounds pretty amazing. I'm going to have to go and see if I can give myself a ticket to go to Scotland. I can hear that.
Learn how to play Blood Bowl as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Ali. And thank you all for tuning in today and listening to two guys on the internet. Right. We will see you next time. Cheers.
Goodbye.